The next story I wanted to talk about is about a guy named Michael Flynn. Now, I probably should have covered him a long time ago, but I didn't really feel like he was on the forefront of my attention up until now. He has been desperately trying to ingrain himself in the QAnon movement, doing anything he possibly could. He's gone full blown Christian nationalist at this point in a new clip, which we're going to be talking about in a couple of minutes. But I want to give you guys a little bit of lead up into who he is since I've never covered him before. So let me take a look at a couple of articles about him, and then we'll move on to the clips. This article is on rightwingwatch.org. It's titled Phyllis Schlafly Eagles Ed Martin tweets QAnon slogan. Basically, the article is about how this person, who I've never heard of before, retweeted Michael Flynn tweeting out pro QAnon stuff. They were using the "Where We Go One, We Go All" hashtag, which is a QAnon slogan. And this guy retweeted Michael Flynn and said, "Marching order received, sir. Onward. Hashtag where we go one, we go all." The reason I had to come all the way here instead of just going straight to Michael Flynn's tweets is because Michael Flynn got caught up in the QAnon sweep when Twitter and Facebook and a bunch of other websites banned a ton of QAnon accounts a while back. Not that long ago. A few months ago, I think. He got caught up in it because he has been trying to co-opt and control to some degree the QAnon movement. If you don't know who Michael Flynn is, it's this guy that's on screen now for the video listeners. He was a national security officer, I believe, national security chief for Obama and for Trump, I think. And he's also a 4-star general. Serious shit. He's as high up in the military as you get, pretty much. An extremely important person. And Obama was suspicious that he was doing something that he wasn't supposed to be doing, like working with Turkey against the United States, or without informing the United States at the very least. And he told Trump about that originally when they were transitioning power. He said to Trump, you need to keep your eye on Flynn because there's something shady going on here. And what did Donald Trump do? He took Flynn under his wing. He embraced Flynn because guess what? Obama didn't like him. And then General Flynn was charged with treason. Here's an article on the BBC about what Flynn was charged with. It says, Flynn was among former aides to President Trump convicted during the special counsel's investigation into Russian election interference. He'd pleaded guilty in 2017 to lying to the FBI about contacts with Russia's ambassador to the U.S. Flynn had been seeking to withdraw his guilty plea. The Justice Department's decision also follows criticism of the case by President Trump and his supporters. Flynn, a retired Army 3-star lieutenant general, left the White House in February 2017, just weeks after Mr. Trump was sworn in. He's a bad guy, needless to say. And he got pardoned by Donald Trump. Pardoned for something dangerously close to treason, if that's not exactly what it was. And after he was pardoned by Donald Trump, he started making his circuits around the QAnon circles, trying to heavily ingrain himself in QAnon, and if he could, seemingly, control the movement to the best of his ability. So he starts tweeting things out like, where we go one, we go all, the QAnon slogan, and making appearances at mega church pastors' churches and QAnon conferences all across the country. This is a clip from Kenneth Copeland, early August 2021. He had Michael Flynn come on his show at his conference that he held recently. Give this a watch.
There are field grade officers, I'm not happy to say, that just are glad they have a lot of rank.
What does that mean exactly? There are field grade officers that are just glad they have a lot of rank? I'm speculating, but I'm assuming what he's saying here is Flynn was being targeted by the deep state, quote unquote, and the only thing that saved him was his high rank?
General Flynn is a soldier's soldier. General Flynn is the kind of man that will not ask a soldier, a slick sleeve like me, to do anything he wouldn't do. I would like for General Michael Flynn to join me on this platform, please.
I'm going to give you a hug.
Yes.
Yeah, so that happened, and it was really fucking weird. Like, he had Michael Flynn come to his conference basically and give a talk and all this other stuff. That didn't end very well for Michael Flynn either, as we'll see in a minute. That was in August. All this past year, though, in all of 2021, he has spent his time trying to ingrain himself in the QAnon movement, and he seems to have been successful because they're basically hanging on his every word. February 2021, he goes on a program and he says this. Give it a listen.
I'm just going to ask you some questions, and I want you to just tell me if it's nonsense or if there was anything to it at all. Number one, did President Trump ever sign into action the Insurrection Act?
No. Nonsense.
Nonsense. Is the United States military running the country or just is that nonsense as well?
More nonsense.
These are QAnon claims, by the way.
Good to hear.
More nonsense. There's no plan. There's no people. There's so many people out there. Is the plan happening? There's no. I mean, we have what we have, and we have to accept the situation as it is.
It seems to me that he was kind of setting it up to point the QAnon movement in a new direction and try to get them to act on a different set of premises. There's no plan, and there isn't going to be a storm unless you make the storm happen. That's kind of the impression that I'm getting here. So how did the QAnon movement react to him saying that? There is an extremely high-ranking QAnon interpreter, if you will. Guy's name is Dave Hayes. He goes by the Praying Medic, and he's very high up in the QAnon interpretation field, if you will. Listen to his response to Flynn's appearance on that program just now. This is mid-February 2021, shortly after Flynn went on that show.
Some people have heard the interview with General Flynn, where General Flynn said that there is no plan for the military to step in. I was listening to Monkey Works, and he interviewed a guy a couple days ago. And that guy also said, there is no plan for the military to step in and do anything. Well, I would like to suggest an alternative viewpoint on that.
Before he suggests his alternative viewpoint, let me suggest a viewpoint. I suspect Flynn is just trying to get them to realize that if they want something to change, they're going to have to take physical action themselves. He's at least trying to point him in that direction. That's the impression that I get. I don't know that for sure. Like I said, speculation, but that's what it seems like to me. Now, obviously, there's no plan, quote unquote. The military is not controlling the United States or any of that shit. But these guys seem to refuse to accept that. So let's listen to Dave Hayes's alternative explanation for why Flynn would go on a program and say there is no plan.
I would like to suggest an alternative viewpoint on that. If the military had a plan to intervene in American politics, and General Flynn was aware of it, I guarantee you he wouldn't tell anybody what he knew publicly for operational security.
Operational security. Right. Totally. That totally checks out. That makes sense. You don't think that maybe there just is no fucking plan? Like, what's it going to take to get it through your head that there's no plan? There's no storm coming. Dave Hayes, a praying medic, has on 3 separate occasions minimum made specific claims, or prophecies, if you will, that the storm was coming. 2018, 2019, 2020, and again in 2021. Made those specific prophecies. And I use that word prophecy intentionally because the QAnon movement has religious elements in it, and they seem to believe they have special knowledge or access to special knowledge that no one else has access to. Flynn actually got himself in a little bit of hot water shortly after making an appearance on Kenneth Copeland's show, though. I guess you could say he drew the ire of True News. I'm sure you guys probably remember True News and Rick Wiles, but just in case you don't remember Rick Wiles, let me just play a few seconds of a Rick Wiles clip for you, just as a little bit of a refresher so you remember who this guy is. This is Rick Wiles from True News.
If they take him out, there's going to be violence in America. That's all there is to it.
And when we say take him out,
however he leaves, there's going to be violence in America.
They're talking about Donald Trump, of course.
And I believe there are people in this country, veterans, there are cowboys, mountain men, guys that know how to fight. Okay? And they're going to make a decision that the people that did this to Donald Trump are not going to get away with it. And they're going to hunt him down. I'm serious. They're going to hunt him down.
So that's Rick Wiles with True News. Well, Flynn caught Rick Wiles' attention and the attention of the True News crew, and they had some things to say about him. Check it out. This came out mid-October 2021. Check it out.
why is General Michael Flynn carrying around a prayer of a New Age prophetess in his wallet? Now, just in case you think somehow we're misconstruing this and everything, we took General Flynn's prayer, the video, and then we took Elizabeth Clare Prophet's video, and then our editing team today split it up, and we're going to play them side by side, well, going back and forth here. You tell me, you be the judge of this, and you tell me what is going on here. Here's that video.
We are your instrument of those sevenfold rays and all your archangels, all of them.
I am here, O God, and I am the instrument of those sevenfold rays and archangels.
We will not retreat. We will not retreat. We will stand our ground.
And I will not retreat. I will take my stand.
We will not fear to speak. We will be the instrument of your will. Whatever it is.
I will not fear to speak, and I will be the instrument of God's will, whatever it is.
Yeah, so that's interesting. What I'm picking up from this is Michael Flynn just probably went to like some, I don't know, he went back in the archives to try to find some prayer that he could say that would fit in line perfectly with what these people believe and boost his credibility among them, right? Being the atheist that I am and recognizing that all these prayers are nonsense basically anyways. But the True News crew read something differently into this. They seem to believe that he's like using a New Age prayer to pretty much trick Christians into praying to a false god. That's where they are with this. That's what they seem to believe with Flynn. In my opinion, I think the guy just didn't really know what to say, so he probably looked some shit up and came up with a couple of ideas and then wrote something similar down. He basically plagiarized a prayer because he thought it would fit in with their belief system. But I don't know. Maybe he's a true believer. I don't know. They believe there's some kind of an underlying satanic thing happening here where he's trying to like draw them in for the Antichrist or some other nonsense like that. I feel like you'd have to believe in supernatural stuff to accept something like that, and I don't. So it seems ridiculous from beginning to end to me. But the point here is Michael Flynn may be burning some of his bridges in the QAnon community, if you will. Some of his bridges. Like True News is a pretty big supporter of the conspiracy theories, so losing them was a pretty big deal, and he's lost others too. It's not just True News that he's lost. My guess is with this next clip, he's trying to probably recapture some of the audience that he's lost so far, recapture some of the attention that he's been lacking over the past few weeks, because every now and then he gets this giant jump in attention where everybody's like, holy shit, that guy just said something really fucking crazy, like endorsing QAnon, for example, in the first place. And he becomes like, you know, a national celebrity for a moment for how crazy he's getting, and or how deep down the rabbit hole he's going. And then he kind of fades to obscurity again. So here we are once again, mid-November 2021. He's got something new to say. Let's give this a listen. This was at a QAnon conference, I believe. Awaken America, presented by American Faith. So give this a listen.
And they're talking about the United States of America. Talking about the United States of America, because when Matthew mentioned it in the Bible, he wasn't talking about the physical ground that he was on. He was talking about something in the distance. So if we are going to have one nation under God, which we must, we have to have one religion, one nation under God and one religion under God, right? All of us together, working together.
Wow, dude. That is full-blown Christian nationalist. That's disturbing. The guy wants to ostensibly name a state religion now, I guess. He wants to create a state religion. He wants, presumably, Christianity to be a state religion where you are compelled to be a Christian in the United States or you get out. I talked about this a few weeks ago, but Christian nationalism comes on a spectrum. It goes from the more moderate version of Christian nationalism, which, by the way, in itself is extreme. The more moderate version is you have to get out of the country if you aren't a Christian. I guess the most moderate version is you can't be in office unless you're a Christian. And then the slightly more extreme version is you have to get out of the country if you're not a Christian. All the way to the most extreme version, which is we're going to take you out if you don't join the state religion. This is going in an extremely disturbing direction right now, I have to say. I understand this guy is probably just trying to get attention. I get that. But the things that he's doing and saying are fucking disturbing. Anybody who loves liberty and freedom should be fucking disturbed by what they're hearing right now. There were a bunch of people retweeting this clip and talking about it and stuff, one of whom was Mrs. Betty Bowers. Odd how conservative Christians are all about other people being forced to follow a religion that they don't. Preet Bharara. Wow, look how much Michael Flynn hates America. To directly contradict the principles that the Founding Fathers enshrined in the Constitution. That seems like a real hatred of America to me. Ron Filipowski, Mandel's grandfather, survived the Holocaust. Josh Mandel, we stand with General Flynn. Marianne Williamson, you guys remember her? I think this was Oprah Winfrey's spiritual advisor, right? She ran for president on the Democratic ticket a while back. She's very wooey and I don't know, kind of new agey religious. She's spiritual and she's got some real weird ideas. But my God, did she school Dave Rubin in an interview? He invited her on to talk, I believe. And she just shredded him in that interview. If you guys can find that interview, it's pretty entertaining to watch. Marianne Williamson with Dave Rubin. Anyways, Marianne Williamson said in response to Flynn, for anyone who, for whatever reason, doesn't know, religious freedom and pluralism is a bedrock constitutional principle in America. It's in the First Amendment. Whether a man believes in 20 gods or no god, neither picks my pocket nor breaks my leg. Thomas Jefferson. This article on The Friendly Atheist was originally written by Hemant Mehta. I haven't read the article, but I'll read the last few sentences. Even Marianne Williamson gets it. The question shouldn't be why these nutcases are promoting theocracy. The question should be why so many other Christians with large platforms aren't denouncing this immediately. That is pretty fucking disturbing. But in all fairness, a lot of the Christians in this country agree with the principles that we want. Freedom of religion. A vast majority of the United States wants freedom of religion and freedom from religion. They want the ability to choose. They want freedom, generally speaking. It's a small, vocal minority that wants to take the country for Christianity by force if necessary. That vocal minority is a little bit bigger than I'm comfortable with right now, estimating somewhere around 20 to 30 million people who are in the QAnon movement and 70 to 80 million who are in the evangelical movement. That's fucking disturbing. We should be worried about that. But I know that we have moderate Christians on our side here. I know that we have people of sound mind who know how to reason through problems on our side. So I'm not too concerned that this is going to be something that happens in the near future. It would be a real challenge. But the longer time goes on, the more high-profile people call things like this out, like General Flynn coming out and saying he wants Christian nationalism, the more of that we have, the higher the chance that it's actually going to happen one day. And that alone is pretty fucking concerning. Somebody earlier on the voicemails asked me a question. They asked me a question about whether or not I think Republicans in Congress really believe this stuff. Are they extreme? Or are they grifting? I said 20 years ago, even 25 years ago, I think they were scamming. They knew what they were doing. Like Rupert Murdoch, he doesn't believe any of this shit. It seems to me like Rupert Murdoch, like the owner of Fox News, I think is who that is. Hang on, let me just double check, make sure that's his name. Rupert Murdoch, yeah, he owns Fox News. I don't think he believes any of this. I think he intentionally set out to create extremists who do believe this stuff. And now we don't have scam artists in Congress, not as many. Now we have true believers. That should be concerning in itself. We no longer have scam artists. We have true believers now. Josh Hawley, for example, I don't think he's a scam artist. I think he really buys this stuff. Michael Flynn, for some reason, I don't think he's a true believer. I think he's a scam artist. One of the very few. There are so few people I say this about. I feel like we can't know people's intentions. We can't know for sure. I mean, Kent Hovind might be a scam artist. I know without a shadow of a doubt he's lying. He lies about evolution all the time. He's had this shit explained to him 1 billion times over. He knows how evolution works, but he continues to lie about it, like outright lie. Is he scamming, or does he believe in Christianity so much that he believes he needs to lie to protect it? I think that's what it really is at the end. I don't think Kent Hovind is a scam artist. I think he's just lying to protect something that he truly believes in. I think Kent Hovind's a true believer. But every now and then I come across somebody who I think is a scam artist and knows they're scamming people. It's so rare. Ben Shapiro is one of those people. He went to Harvard Law School, I think. He knows these arguments are flawed from top to bottom. Dude claims to have gotten like a 178 on his LSAT. The maximum score is like 180 or something. He's not an idiot. You can't convince me Ben Shapiro is a true believer while he gives the arguments that he gives. And it's the same with Rupert Murdoch, and it's the same with Michael Flynn. I don't think for a second Michael Flynn is a true believer. I think he's a scam artist trying to seize attention and power any way he can get it. And I think he saw an opportunity in QAnon, and that's what he's doing now. But who fucking knows? Like I said before, we're not in these people's heads. We don't know. We have no way of affirming that for sure. It's just pure speculation to think they're true believers or scam artists. We have no way of knowing. Either way, what he's doing is harmful, extremely harmful and dangerous. And I hope we do get an opportunity to see some bigger Christians with bigger platforms call that shit out.